The Grabber Blue 71 Ford Mustang really starts to take shape this week on Angelo's Workbench. As I said in my last video, I don't know what this paint is, so I discovered that I could mix it with a lacquer thinner, but I don't know how it will react to other paints and my clear coat. So I shot a couple of test spoons so that I can find out if I'm going to have any paint reactions with what I plan to use. And if I'm going to have a paint reaction, I want to have it on a spoon and not my freshly painted body. So I have here my Duplicolor Paint Shop quart in silver. This is actually almost gone. I've used a lot of this. This is what I plan to use for the silver on the car. And so my test is going to be twofold. I am testing to see if it is going to affect this spoon. I only need one because the other one is to test my clear coat. So I'm going to shoot my silver over this blue and see if it has any effect. The other thing that I'm going to be checking is the color match to the sticker or the decals that came with the kit. I want to make sure that this silver is going to be a good match. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to spray some silver on this spoon right over the blue, just like I will be doing on the car. And I have both sides of the spoon painted, so I can do both sides. And I'm going to put it on a little thick on purpose. There. So now we just let that cure for a while. Any paint reactions should become obvious pretty quickly. And then after that completely cures, we'll match it next to the decal, see if we have a good match on the silver. And if so, and it doesn't affect the paint and we have a good match on the silver, then this will be the silver I use. Also, after this is done curing, I will shoot both of these spoons with clear coat, again, just as a final test to make sure that I'm not going to have any undesirable reactions on the body. So, we'll be back. And we're back in the spray booth. So, the silver did not attack the blue, so the silver is good. I have no paint reaction here. This looks as good as it was before. So now I'm going to shoot my clear coat over just to be sure, the silver and the blue. Also, comparing the to the decal, it looks like a pretty good match. This might be a little bit too sparkly, but I think that once I clear coat it, it'll die down a little bit. We're going to see how it looks after I clear coat it. But I can live with that. I think that'll look okay. So now we're just going to spray some clear coat over these two spoons and watch for a paint reaction. And then if I don't get a paint reaction, then I know that I'll be okay. Now my clear coat, I'm not expecting a paint reaction with the silver because I've used my 2K clear over this silver before. So now we'll just leave that sit. This is the one that I'm concerned about, so I just want to make sure that I don't get a paint reaction. I should know within an hour or so if there will be a paint reaction on that spoon. That's plenty of clear coat. I put a nice heavy coat on. Now when I apply the clear coat to the blue, I'll start with a light coat and then go in with a heavy coat after. But if it can withstand a heavy coat right off the bat, then it can withstand anything, which is why I'm doing a heavy coat. So there's that. So we'll let those spoons cure, and we'll come back, and we'll see how we do. And we're back from the spray booth. My paint test was successful. There is no damage. These clear coat is cured, so this has been clear coated with my 2K clear, and no paint reactions whatsoever. So we are cleared for takeoff. So the next thing that I will do is get the hood ready to mask off Per the masking instructions, do my my 3.8 millimeter strips all around the edge. I will use my frog tape that I like so much. I buy this stuff at Home Depot. This stuff is great. It's the same exact thing as Tamiya tape. It works fantastically at a fraction of the cost of what you would pay for Tamiya tape. So then I'll give these guys a prime, and then we'll get them silver. We'll do the silver parts on the body, and we'll be moving forward to completion on the body, and then we can move on to painting all of the kit parts. I am just about ready to do some silver painting on the body. The hood specifically, and then the other parts that are going to be silver, such as the front air dam or splitter, fascia, whatever you want to call it, the spoiler, the rear, the back of the car, that all gets silver. And I have the decal here because I wanted to measure. I know they said 3.8 millimeters in the instructions, but I believe in trust but verify. And so I confirmed that, in fact, it needed to be just slightly less than what they were saying. And I think that might have to do with the fact that this is a little out of scale. As I showed you in the video earlier, the hood is just slightly smaller than this picture. Excuse me, larger. The picture is slightly smaller than the hood actually is. But I've got, you know, through my own measuring and my own deciding, I've got what I think is a good measurement on where I need to be with my masking. So this is ready to go. So we're going to give that a shot silver. The side of the car, the bottom part is also silver, but is done with decal. So I don't think I need to do any silver on the body. I think I will just rely on the decals for that. They have decals for the side and the rear. They have a decal for here, and they have a decal for here. Though it doesn't seem to be on the call out here. Where did it go? I looked this over, and I thought I had an understanding. Decal 59, decal 57 would go here, and decal 59 would go here. They neglected to put that decal in there, but you can tell that that is pretty clearly for the rear section. So anyway, I'm going to use it in the rear section. And then this front section is decal 51, which is this little tiny piece, the bottom of the stripe. Decal 52 is the top of the stripe. 55 is the stripe down the side. 60 is the stripe to the rear of the rear wheel. So that accounts for all of the decals. Then, of course, there's one for the back, so I don't need to do any custom painting on that. This goes on the body, just above the rear taillight panel, which will also be silver. So that, I think, is... So I don't think there's any silver that I need to do on here, so I can just leave that aside. My only silver painting is these parts here, though this is kind of bothering me, because it looks like that there might need to be some... Nope, you can see the cutoff. So that's all body color, or the silver color on there. So there's no silver on the body. Excellent. Which would mean if you are doing a black scheme with the black color, that there is no black. You don't have to paint any other color other than your main body color on the body. Everything else is done with decals and paint on the hood. So, there we go. So I'm going to head to the spray booth and get the silver going. So I've mixed up my silver, and now what I'm going to go ahead and do is strain it. So I just have a paint filter that I cut to fit what I need to do, and I'm just going to pour it through. And then what this does is makes sure that any kind of little imperfections that were in the paint from the paint sitting around, or in my thinner that I used to thin it a little bit, don't make it into the final finish. That would be bad, because it'll end up with a big glob in the middle of my hood that gets shot through my airbrush, and we don't need that in our lives. So, strain the paint, and then I'll be back to spray. All right, here's our big moment. We are going to do the silver on the hood. Just do a little test spray, make sure that we got everything good here. And there we go. I'm just going with a light coat. We don't need a ton of silver on here. We just need enough to make it silver. And there it is, one silver hood. And I can still see a little bit of blue. Oh no, I'm seeing the tape. The tape is the same color as the grabber blue, so I thought I was seeing blue in those air vents, but it is just the tape. So this is a done deal. So the hood is now silver, and I don't see any spots that need touch up. That all looks good. So I'm going to let this gas out, and then I'm probably going to do one more coat just to be sure. But in the meantime, we can bring over our littler parts, starting with the spoiler. There we go. That was looking like it was going to come off. There we go. Okay, that looks good. One silver spoiler. So we need to do the tail panel next, which is right here. And I'll do the back of it just to be sure. There we go. That's looking very silver. And we have a small fascia that needs to be done. And again, there's no harm in painting both sides just to make sure I get full coverage. That looks good. Didn't miss any spots. Last but not least, the front fascia, your front splitter, or an air dam, whatever you want to call it. And again, I'm going to do all 360 degrees of the part. There we go. Coat 1 is done. Getting caught up now here on where I am with this. The silver has been done, as well as the decal on the hood. And it is a little bit of a different shade. I'm hoping that once the clear coat goes on that it evens out. If not, I have a plan once I clear coat it, because I can put tape on a decal. Once I clear over this, if it still looks substantially different, I will mask on the decal and then paint the silver a different silver, and then give it more clear coat, another shot of clear coat. But the hood came out remarkably well. I'm very pleased with that. This decal is flat and smooth and looks good. These decals are actually fantastic. I am not using any setting solution whatsoever, and they are just bonding to the surface fantastically. Again, I'm not using any setting solution whatsoever. And it's the decal itself just is sucking down into the holes entirely on its own. And I'll still run a razor blade through these holes and maybe use a little decal setting solution before I go to the clear. But these went on super easy. As you'll see in a minute, I didn't do the other side yet. So let's do a little decal work. And I'll show you what I mean about how awesomely these decals apply. and with no setting solution, which is awesome because sometimes the setting solution likes to wrinkle up the decal and it doesn't respond well. And so I was thinking about that while I was applying these decals, and I thought to myself, well, if I could do it with just water, they're not conforming on a curved surface, but even the parts of it that are, the water seems to be softening up the decals enough so that it is able to go around some curved surfaces. I have this back decal on already, and this was, look at this curved surface here, and this was applied with just water. And look at how well it sucked down into the panel line, and look how well you can see the trunk release. That's impressive with just water. There's no anything on that, just water. And it looks great. And the decal is cut perfectly. It fits the part of the car exactly where it's supposed to go. It looks great. And once I put the tail panel in, which is here, after it gets its coat of clear coat, that's going to look fantastic. The back of this car is going to look great. I think all parts of this car are going to look great. This is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful kit, and in such a beautiful body. And then I did get also in the mail today from an online retailer some new bare metal foil. I'm going to give bare metal foil a try again. I got away from bare metal foil because I wasn't very good at it, and I was masking and spraying my trims. And this kit, I said, you know what? I'm going to try the bare metal foil again. So I'm gonna give it a shot. So this is what I've done. I have just some room temperature water here. And I'm going to basically just dip it in there. And I swoosh it around for a few seconds. Nothing huge. These decals come loose fairly quickly and fairly easily. And I'm going to do the same thing with this big guy. I'm just going to drop him in there and let him swoosh around for a few minutes. A few seconds, actually. Whoop. He's going to get a few extra seconds. And then we'll pull him out of there. Set him down there. And then I have just a random paintbrush that I just use for water. And I basically just slap some water on the body because I like to have some water on the body to slide the decal around. And that's that. And so the line part goes on the top, the part with the small pinstripe. And then we just kind of apply it just like that. The decal is extremely thin and is already sticking quite well. So I'll just get under it with this paintbrush, move it around and put it in place where it's supposed to be. And it's supposed to be right at the top of that body line. And that's pretty much that. And I'll just drip a little water around it. There we go. And then I'll take a Q-tip and I'll start just kind of rolling. Whoa, we don't want to do that. Takes a little bit of practice to do the roll without sliding the decal at all. And there's that. And then you can see it. The decal is already just kind of conforming to the surface. And look at that. There's no decal setting solution on that. Look at how well it goes around that curve. These decals are great. And I'm looking at it and it's just a little bit uneven. So again, I can get the brush underneath it. This rear portion needs to come down just a little. Just like that. Now it follows that body line perfectly. And then I pop this in the dehydrator for about 5 minutes, and it comes out great. So now that that is pretty much set where I want it, I'll get this rear section on here. Go on, get on there. And again, I line it up so that it follows the body line. And that seems to leave just a little bit of overlap. And the overlap tends to work well with the decal. So I think that's what they had in mind. And I just want to check my other side just as a kind of a guide. And there we have it. And then it just conforms to the body shape so well. Like it just, the decal is so thin. These are marvelous decals. There we go. There we go. So those are done and looking good. And then, like I said, 5 minutes in the dehydrator will suck that decal down into this line pretty good and make it so that it will look the part. And it looks good just like the other side. And again, I still have just a little bit of cleanup to do on this body before it goes to clear coat. But yeah, that's looking good. And then we still have this stripe to do. We'll come back. I'm going to pop this in the dehydrator, let this bottom part get cured really well. And then we'll come back and we'll do the stripe together. And we are back from the dehydrator. And you can see that the dehydrator has pulled the decals down into those door lines nice. And that will still happen as time goes on. It's not completely dry yet. So now I'm preparing these decals to go onto the body. And what I'm doing is I'm cutting off these little numbers, because what ends up happening with these little numbers is they invariably get stuck to the body or stick to the decal in some way, in some place that you don't want them. And then you can't get them off. So the numbers don't even go into the water solution. They don't go anywhere near the body because they can be troublesome. So I just cut very carefully around the decal. And I just cut the numbers away. And I think that's a pretty well-known thing in model building. You know, get rid of the numbers by all means, because they will cause you trouble. So I like to start at the front of the car. I like to start somewhere on the car where there's a reference point, okay? And these front decals, they have a reference point because they sandwich the front light very closely, right around the chrome trim. So I use that as a reference point, and then I eyeball down the side of the car to set my altitude for the trim, because this stripe has to match this stripe, or it's supposed to anyway. So I'm going to end this car, start at the front of the car. For Mopars, where I have the stripe that goes around the back and then up the side sometimes, I will start at the back of the car because that's where my reference point is. Something that is on the body as a solid reference point comes in handy. So I'm going to do these two front ones. I like to do these a couple at a time, because sometimes it takes a little while to get it set up the way you want it, and then the other decals are sitting around and they're getting wet, and then they're drying, and then you got a problem. So this is the best way, in my humble opinion. A couple at a time. Especially since these decals free up so quickly. You're not sitting here forever and ever waiting for the decals to be able to slide on the backing paper. They start sliding within 10, 15, 20 seconds, they start sliding. And what I'm doing now is I'm just lining it up and it sets you in a good position using this marker light as a reference point. I'm going to get my big eyes on so that I can see more clearly. There we go. And the decal is not level with that light. So, I'm going to get my brush wet here and get it underneath that decal so that I can move it again. This brush comes in very handy for that. And what I'm looking to do now is basically just get the decal lined up with this line of this where it'll be bare metal foil on this light. And there we go. I just needed to get some of the water off there. There was a little too much. And there. Now I believe we are, well, we were. We were level. And now I just need to slide this on over. There we go. And there's that. So now I need just a little bit more water here in the bottom. And my Q-tip that I just dropped. There we go. And that's looking really good there. Yep, I'd say we've got a winner. That looks perfect. So now I'm ready to continue down the side of the body with these guys. I've got 2 more to go, and then this is done. This is a rather sizable decal. There we go. Drop him in there for a second. And then we've got the rear one. And there we go. So now what I'll do is I'll take my brush and I'll put some water. And this one goes right under this body line. So that's the spot where I'll concentrate with the water. And these get to be a little tricky to slide them into an approximate spot on the body. There we go. And then I'll get my toothpick, which I'm not quite sure where it went. All right, I'll grab another toothpick. Don't worry, they'll make more. So once you get the stripe fairly straight and up where it's supposed to be on this car, it should line up with these wheel arches pretty handily. There it is. That looks pretty straight to me. So then I'll just set the front of it. And now this top portion, the front portion, has slid up a little bit. So I'll just go underneath it. And we'll bring that stripe back down to where it's supposed to be. There we go. There. That looks good and straight. Let me see. Let me put my other eyes on. One eye to see up. One set of eyes to see up close. One set of eyes to see level. Yeah, it's not quite level. I mean, it's level with this body line, but it's not quite level with the body. But that's where we come in with the water, and I think what needs to happen is this whole thing has to go back a little bit. Whoa, we got some craziness going on here now. It's one of those things that just when you think you've got it, it needs a little fine adjustment. Yeah, that looks better. I've got a little issue here on this. I've got a wrinkle in this stripe. And the whole stripe moved down. Now the whole stripe moved up. And this is the thing with stripes on cars. You gotta make sure they look good. And this one, for whatever reason, is starting to not want to move anymore. So that's telling me that it's time to finish up. We got to get this set. There we go. That's exactly what I was looking for right there. Yep, right there. Yep, there we go. Yep, that looks good. That's what I'm looking for right there. And that's why I only do 2 at a time. This guy's been hanging out over here waiting forever. And there we go. And we'll just drop him on there. And he goes straight. But he needs to get bumped. Oh, I see what's going on. So this guy has to go up a little bit because of that light. And what that's revealing to me is that this stripe, this entire stripe, has to get moved up. I had it too far below the body line. That's why it didn't look right. There. Yep. And now it looks more like the other side. Yep, perfect. There it is. And that side's done. Decals are done. This can cure. And then we're ready to move to the next step. So in the previous footage of this video, you probably noticed that the hood was a little too silver. And I knew it right away as soon as I put the decals on, that this silver was just too shiny, too much metallic. It was too silvery, we'll say. Too much metal flake to match the decal. So it didn't match the decal well. So I needed to resolve that. And I was going to clear coat it and go and do all of that and then remask it and spray a new silver. But I decided to take a chance. The decal was cured exceptionally well, and I very lightly applied some yellow frog tape. Now, I applied it to my workbench first to lessen the tack of it, so there was less chance of it pulling the decal off. And this was a big risk, because if I pulled the decal off, then I would have been hosed, and I would have had to have either hand done the stripe, which I could do. It's a very cautious and careful masking job, but I could have done it. Or I would have had to source another set of decals. So it was a big risk, but it paid off. I masked it very carefully with my frog tape, and then I sprayed it with Tamiya XF16 flat aluminum. And so this looks much, much more like the decal. In fact, you almost can't even tell where I masked and where the decal begins and where the decal ends. Once this is clear coated and sealed in, this will be a significantly better match. So I have also, just off to my left here, I have also painted the other silver parts, repainted them in the XF16 flat aluminum. So they all match, so they're all the same silver. And they will look much better once they get clear coated as well. So the body is at a state now where I think I'm ready for decals, because I was going to clear coat over the bare metal foil, because I'm going to try bare metal foil. But somebody suggested to me, my good friend Revell over at Muscle Car Modeler, suggested to me that it might be problematic clear coating over the bare metal foil, that I'd be better off putting the bare metal foil on over the clear coat, because the clear coat has a tendency to cloud the bare metal foil and so on. And I recognize that there's lots of different ways to do things, but I see his bare metal foil jobs, and his bare metal foil jobs look fantastic. So I consider him an expert, and I'm going to follow suit with what he says. So I am going to clear coat this car. This car is pretty much ready for clear. I don't have the marker emblems on yet, because they're going to go over a little bit of bare metal foil, I believe. I got to double check my photo reference on that. If they do go over the bare metal foil, then obviously they won't go on. If the trim ring around the light is blue, then the decals can go on now, and I will do so before the clear coat. But the side decals are on. This little boss decal on the back is on. The stripes are all going to get clear coated. So as of right now, I think I'm ready for clear coat. Once this is this is an acrylic paint, so it'll gas out fast. Once this is ready to go, then I should be all set for, and it looks like it might be body color around the side marker light based on this reference. I will double check my photo reference online. Yeah, looks like body color around the marker light. If that is the case, then the marker lights can go on now before clear coat, and because I will clear over them and seal them in. So stay tuned. Come on back next week when we will have this going to clear coat, and we will be moving right along. I also have done the chassis in the rusty red, or the red primer, I mean. And I'm going to spray some silver from the side to kind of give it that look. And that's all coming up next week. Come on back and join me then. That's going to wrap up video number 2 in the Revell 71 Boss 351 Mustang series, the new tooling. What a pleasure this kit is to put together. Go ahead and like, share, comment, subscribe. All those things help me. Also, don't forget to check me out on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, all under the name Angelo's Workbench. Come on back next week. We're going to clear coat this. We're going to start painting the other kit parts and go to assembly.